our next act coming up, gosh, you can't say Gamble Rogers really without thinking of Bob Patterson. His name is so synonymous with the Gamble Rogers Festival in St. Augustine. Have y'all been there? That's a great festival coming up, too. And I believe that's the last weekend of March, first weekend in April. Is that right? May 5th, 6th, and 7th this year. Okay, so put that on your calendar. This is a great folk season coming on up. All right, so coming up next, we have Bob Patterson from St. Augustine, part of that St. Augustine contention. A lot of great talent from over there, and I think I forgot to mention Sam was from St. Augustine as well. A lot of talent over there. Now, I think Clyde Walker lives over there now, too. Lon and Liz Williamson.
That's right. We get everybody eventually. Good place.
It is a beautiful city. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Well, let's make welcome Mr. Bob Patterson.
While you're making that noise, how about another round of applause for my pal Sam Passetti, huh? A number of years ago, I remember when Gamble called me up one night, he said, Bob, mind if I bring someone over tonight to listen to us pick? I said, well, sure, Gamble. And Gamble brought Sam over. I think he was 16 at the time, and Sam, he just listened to us play. I didn't even know he could play at that time. And then I knew I had to do something. I either had to quit playing guitar or break his hands. And I asked the Lord, and the Lord said, Bob, you leave that man alone. He'll be able to get in trouble okay by himself. You know, a preacher went out preaching, was on one Sunday morning. Now, folks, he knew it was against his religion. Still, he took that gun along. He shot himself 3 mighty fine quail, 1 little measly hare. And on the way returning home, he ran into a great big grizzly bear. The bear walked out to the middle of the road, walked up to the preacher, you see. The preacher got so excited, he climbed up a cinnamon tree. You know, that bear sat down the middle of the road. The preacher climbed out on the limb. He raised his eyes to the Lord in the skies. These words he said to him. Whoa, Lord, didn't you deliver Daniel from the lion's den? Also deliver Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then 3 Hebrew children from the fiery furnace, so the good book do declare. No, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. You know, that preacher was up in that tree. I think it was all night. He said, hey, Mr. Bear, you bother me. I'll give you an awful fight. Just about that time, the limb gave way, and that preacher came a-tumbling down. Folks, you could see him getting that razor out before he hit the ground. He hit the ground, cut right, left. He put up a very good fight. But then the bear grabbed the preacher, squeezed him a little too tight. Well, the preacher dropped the razor. That bear held on with a vim. He raised his eyes to the Lord in the skies. These words he said to him. Whoa, Lord, didn't you deliver Daniel from the lion's den? Also deliver Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then 3 Hebrew children from the fiery furnace, so the good book do declare. No, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Now, folks, they fought all the way down to the river. It was a terrible fight. That bear just kept hanging on, but the preacher was doing all right. He dragged that beast right down to the water. It was 3 times in and out. Then the bear got up, limped away, and that preacher began to shout. Whoa, Lord, didn't you deliver Daniel from the lion's den? Also deliver Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then, no, Lord, I know it may not seem like much from way up there, but the hardest thing I'd ever done was baptizing that bear. Yeah, he's got that old-time religion now. Thank you, guys. So how many of you out there are actually were born here in Florida? Ah, everybody. Stuart. Well, you know, I'm not originally from Florida. As a matter of fact, I'm from up north. You know, when you say that to folks, it means different things to different people. I met an old conch down in Key West one time. I said, "Hey, man, you ever been up north?" He said, "Sure. I get up to Miami twice a year." But I did grow up in the wilderness alongside the Ramapo River. A river that got so low at times you could cross it in places. Other times the floodwaters would come crashing against the house. And my daddy, he always insisted on carrying me, my two sisters, and my mama out through the floodwaters. Even the water was up to his lips. The reason we thought that was so amazing was my daddy was the only one in the family who couldn't swim. I learned to hunt, fish, and trap alongside that river. You know, Henry David Thoreau said we all ought to learn how to do that because of the lessons that it teaches you about wild things and wild places. And he said if you really learn those lessons, you'll probably quit. I guess it's not unusual to consider my age, a boy growing up in the wilderness. I might have as one of my childhood heroes none other than Patterson. Anybody who's watched those movies, we all know that those stories took place in Africa. But the truth of the matter is, folks, most of them were shot right here in Florida. So when I moved to Florida over 35 years ago, I thought, I moved to Africa. I said, wow, this is a wild place. Over the years, I've come to learn that no matter who you are, we all seem to have our own favorite wild place. Oh, I know for some of you, it's just your own backyard. For others, it's that empty lot across the street, the woods down the end of the road. Well, you know, my favorite wild place in Florida is the Ocklawaha River. From my home in St. Augustine, I can be on that river in any number of places in about an hour and a half. Now, one of the ways that I can do it is I can drive down to Weelacca, cross the St. Johns River, and enter the mouth of the Ocklawaha. You know, when I start to paddle my canoe up that river, my back gets straighter. I grow 1.5 feet taller. A gray film falls from my body like tears as my senses are awakened by the beauty that surrounds me. I know that I'm on a wild river. A river older than the flow of human blood through human veins. Over 100 species of fish. 200 species of mammals. 300 species of birds. Florida's a wild place. The Ocklawaha remembers. Well, about 2/3 of the way up the river, on the left-hand side up towards the Rodman Dam, there's a real nice little sandy beach area that makes a great spot to go camping. And about 20 yards up on a bluff above that area, there's an Indian mountain. An Indian mountain that bears witness to the fact that right there on that very same place, there were human beings 12,000 years ago. Folks, 12,000 years ago, most of North America was covered with glaciers. All the animals to keep from being frozen in the glacial ice. They came to Florida. Florida was a wild place. The Ocklawaha remembers. You know that concept? The concept of coming to Florida to get out of the cold? It's when it began. I mean, think about how it must have been. For every bird that you see now, there was 90 more. The rivers and lakes were so filled with fish, you could see their fins sticking up out of the water. You could practically catch them by hand. There are animals here, the likes of which our eyes have never, ever even seen. Florida's a wild place. So one night I camped out on that little sandy beach area I was telling you about. Set up my tent. Proceeded to build a nice little campfire. I made me some of Barbecue Bob's campfire chili. Guarantee to burn you twice. I washed it all down with this bottle of mezcal tequila I took along with me. You know, that's the one with the worm in it. Now, my favorite time of day is when the great wash of evening falls over the Ocklawaha, and I can watch the dance of shadow and light. And then that first bright wandering star, Venus, appears in the sky, followed by all those pale stars shining above me. But as the night gets darker and darker, each one of those pale stars sparkles and shines just like a diamond. So there I am, I'm sitting in my little camp chair looking up at the stars, listening to the owls hoot, the gators bell, the frogs sing. I was sipping on that mezcal tequila, staring at the fireplace. You know, that's the caveman's television. Well, it wasn't long before I started getting sleepy. So I got up, went into the tent, took off all my clothes, laid down, and got ready to drift off and go to that place where sleep is perfect. When all of a sudden I heard a dreadful noise. A mournful sound, a soulful sound. It was coming from outside my tent. Now, folks, I knew I wasn't going to get any rest with that kind of noise going on. So I got back up, put my clothes on, fired up my Coleman lantern, followed my ears right on down to the water's edge, and there was a great big bullfrog stuck in the mouth of a big old water moccasin. And that bullfrog was making a mournful sound, soul-disturbing sound. I ain't no fool. I'm not the kind of a man that'd ever be messing around with a water moccasin. But this one had a big bullfrog stuck in his mouth. I knew he couldn't get me. Reached down, picked him up. He was all twisted around my arm. Reached in and I grabbed that frog. You know, when a poisonous snake bites, he doesn't always inject venom. Sometimes they do what's called a dry bite. Must have been the case here, because there wasn't nothing wrong with that frog. As a matter of fact, he was one happy fellow when I let him go. That water moccasin wasn't real happy with me. He was all curled around my arm, showing me that white cotton mouth. I mean, folks, I couldn't let him go. He'd bite me. I wouldn't blame him. So I carried him up there around the old fireplace. I was walking around a little bit, and I looked down and I saw that bottle of mezcal tequila sitting there. I reached down, picked it up, and pulled the cork out with my teeth. Took me a slash. I gave that water moccasin a slash of tequila. You know, it wasn't a minute after that I could feel him starting to relax his grip on my arm. So I gave him a couple more slashes of that tequila. I even gave him the worm. Folks, about 3 minutes after that, that water moccasin was hanging off my arm like a piece of wilted lettuce. I walked him down to the water's edge, held him out over the water, and let him go. I went back up around the campfire, threw another log on the fire. I was pretty fired up after all that. And knew I wasn't going to fall asleep anytime soon. Sat back in that old camp chair and looked up at those bright, wandering, beautiful, sparkling stars. Listening to the owls hoot, the gators beller, the frogs sing. I was sipping on that mezcal tequila. Started to get real sleepy and closed my eyes. And all of a sudden, I felt something bump me on the leg. There was that same water moccasin. It done bought me another frog. I picked up that bottle of tequila, took a couple drops, and poured it over his head. I said, "Mr. Water Moccasin, I hereby christen you Frog." Gave him a couple more slashes of that tequila, went down to the river, let him go, and I went up and got me one of the best nights' sleep I ever had. You know, a couple of days after that, I was canoeing right past that very same spot. And wouldn't you know it, here come that same water moccasin swimming out towards the canoe. I was with a friend of mine. I said, "Hey, Jim, look, it's Frog." He said, "Bob, that's not a frog. That's a water moccasin. Florida's a wild place." could only reuse time, oh, I go back 100 years to a place where I could listen to the lullaby of the rivers. For now and then there will arise out of the waters Indian spirits to tell me how they got their names and sing the lullaby of the rivers. Akluwaha, Itchatutney, Ekanfina with Lakuchi, Apalachicola, Wakala, Wassisosilla, Kalusahatchee, Kisambi, Aklakni, Choktahatchee, the Kanalahatchee and the Swanee are singing the lullaby of the rivers. If you have ears enough for listening, oh, you can hear what they are saying. You can hear them all singing the lullaby of the rivers. The moving water makes the music. The pureness creates the healing. The reflections give up the secrets to the lullaby of the rivers. Akluwaha, Itchatutney, Ekanfina with Lakuchi, Apalachicola, Wakala, Wassisosilla, Kalusahatchee, Kisambi, Aklakni, Choktahatchee, the Kanalahatchee and the Swanee are singing the lullaby of the rivers. Akluwaha, Itchatutney, Ekanfina with Lakuchi, Apalachicola, Wakala, Wassisosilla, Kalusahatchee, Kisambi, Aklakni, Choktahatchee, the Kanalahatchee and the Swanee are singing the lullaby of the rivers. How about a nice hand for Sam Passetti? Look at Sam out here to join me with a tune here. Sammy, are you there? I'm not sure what Gamble had in mind when he put us together, but I'm sure glad that he did. This is a really fine human being here. Now, in our part of town, we might get together and say, well, I am a man that has great wealth, but gold or silver have I none, for I got good friends and I got good health and a good song to be sung. Now, on the other part of town, where Sam and I have lived occasionally, they just said it a little differently. Oh, you little people, take your hats off to me. You know I'm just an old ragtime millionaire. I said I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a ragtime millionaire. No, you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. I'm gonna take my sweetie to a ball tonight, make them boys treat her right. Hey, we'll go around about half the night. I don't mean to start no fight. Hey, all you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. Come on, I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a ragtime millionaire. Hey, all you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. You know every tooth in my head is solid gold. Make them boys look icy cold. I brush my teeth with diamond dust. I don't care if that bank would bust. Oh, all you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. Oh, I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a ragtime millionaire. Now all you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. Some of the boys say I'm gonna be late, driving this old 28. Some boys say I'm gonna be last. Hey, all I gotta do is step on the gas. Now all you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a rag. I'm a ragtime millionaire. All you little people, take your hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire. Hey, I'm a ragtime millionaire. I'm a ragtime millionaire. I'm a ragtime millionaire. I'm a ragtime millionaire. Oh, all you little people, take hats off to me, 'cause I'm a ragtime millionaire.